everyone. Welcome. Thank you for spending your time with us this afternoon. Welcome to an exciting new program. It's still I can still call it new because we're actually still rolling out the 5th year of the program. Our first cohort is going to be graduating from the program this year. And as I look back and reflect on the last 5 years, our students have accomplished some really amazing things. Our program is really exciting. I just came from teaching this afternoon. I just came from the design studio. So it's always energizing to be there with a group of first-year students who are really high energy, who are innovating and applying principles of biomedical engineering and health sciences and integrating them to solve real-world health problems. So you'll hear all about that this afternoon. So welcome and thank you for coming. Dr. Wall?
Thanks, Dr. McDonald. So welcome, everyone. We're excited to have you. So it is truly an integrated program. You're going to hear from Brennan in just a little bit about the integration of the program and some our student panelists with some cool information about the integration between health sciences and engineering. And it's a unique program in that it's a 5-year program. And so whether you choose the biomedical engineering side or the HESI side of things, the health sciences side, but we're excited to have you, and I'll let us move on so we can explain a little bit more about the integration of the program, and then we can answer your questions on the back side of it. So welcome, everybody. Glad to have you here.
Great, thanks, Dr. McDonald and Dr. Wall. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping notes. You will notice that the chat function has been disabled, but don't worry, there's ways that you can still interact with us. You'll see there's a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So we encourage you to please submit any questions that you have using that function. During the presentations, we will not be answering any questions. We want to make sure that our presenters have everyone's undivided attention. So please continue to submit your questions and we will answer them during the FAQ portion of the event. And I'm now going to hand it over to our academic advisor, Brennan Conry, who's going to dive a little bit deeper into the iBiomed program.
Thank you, Melissa. So my name is Brennan Conry, and I'm just going to kick us off with our pretty formal presentation here. And presumably you're here because you're interested in iBiomed. So we're going to hopefully you have some questions, and hopefully I can cover a lot of these that you might be thinking about, before considering applying to the program or joining us here next year in the next couple of years. And if not, then we can help you afterwards with the Q&A portion. So to start us off, again, formal introduction. My name is Brennan Conry. I'm the iBiomed academic advisor. So I help students from their very first day in level 1, coming right out of high school all the way till graduation. And what's exciting about this program, and this year actually, is that this is our first formal 5th year. So we'll actually have students graduating, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Actually, kind of speaking of, joining me also will be Yumna and Niana. They are final year students who will be able to give you a bit of info of the student perspective, as well as things that they've been working on while being in the program. So what is iBiomed? It's an true integration of 2 faculties at McMaster, the Faculty of Health Sciences and Engineering. So it's a true interdisciplinary program, and you'll be seeing lots of slides, information, myself and other students talking about going into biomedical engineering and health sciences, and that's because this is a joint effort between 2 very strong faculties at McMaster. It's part of the program is leading into a health sciences degree, which is the first of its kind of integrating health sciences, engineering sciences, and entrepreneurship. So what that means is you're taking health sciences courses, you're doing entrepreneurship courses dedicated to that program, as well as getting engineering science exposure, which you wouldn't get in other programs or fields. Usually you have to be in an engineering field, but you get that technical background in that. As well as a strong emphasis on inquiry and problem-based learning. So you're doing lots of projects, design, working in teams and collaboration. So it's a very innovative and modern program for entering into these types of fields. So if you're interested in these types of design systems and products, so lots of areas in biomedical, in technology forms and systems and software even. We have many branching streams outside of our program, but these are the common factors that kind of bring everyone still back together. So again, it's a lot of things that integrate health sciences, technology, biomedical engineering, and again, bringing these types of ideas from innovation to design to market. When we talk about the program and very relevant information, if you're considering the program, is kind of what does that look like? So we have a general first year that you would be entering into, and this is the curriculum that you would be looking at enrolling into. So we have our chem, we have our 3 maths and our 2 physics, but the unique aspect of this program is we have IBHS courses, stands for Integrated Biomedical Engineering and Health Sciences, our formal full-length name instead of just iBio. And these 2 courses are unique to our students. They're not open to other students in the university. And 1P10 is your engineering and biomedical health project course. So this is where you learn the foundations of engineering. You work in teams, you actually design some products and some solutions to real world situations. The 1EP6 is a brand new course just launched this year, which replaced our cellular biology course. So it's still a biology course, but it's very much targeted towards the idea of bringing things to market, biomedical innovation. So again, we are a program that is always evolving and adapting to fit the needs of our students. And beyond first year, so you're in a general first year with everyone in the program. You're meeting everyone, you're collaborating, and then afterwards you're actually branching off. So you pursue one of 2 degrees. You're either pursuing the Bachelor of Engineering and Biomedical Engineering, so your BEng, or the Honors Health Sciences degree, which is a specialization with health engineering and entrepreneurship, or HESI as we, again, short form. We have a lot of long titles, so we short form them a lot in this program. And the breakdown is our target is usually about 140 for first years, and then we see a split of about 90 going to engineering and 50 going into HESI. So these are soft numbers, and we typically have those adjusted from year to year depending on the supply and demand of what our students want. And so diving in even more in depth into after level 1, the HESI stream itself, again, is a core curriculum that combines design thinking, organizational behavior, leadership, marketing, discovery, and validation. So it's health sciences. It's still a health sciences program, but it's beefed up a little bit with innovation, entrepreneurship, biomedical engineering, these types of technical skills that give you a bit of an edge after graduation and into different areas that you'd like to go into. So we have students that are hybrid graduates in a way. They interface with clinicians, researchers, and patients. You have these upper level HESI courses as well, such as Innovators and Scrubs in level 4, which is a placement course. So you're actually in a placement working side by side with clinicians and researchers with patients or their research projects. Again, it's a branch off of health sciences, but it's, again, you're still taking these engineering type courses throughout your whole undergrad here. And then when we talk about the biomedical engineering side, it's an accredited degree, and it's accompanied with a parent engineering discipline. So students who would go off after level 1 into biomedical engineering would then be also doing chemical engineering or mechanical engineering. And these types of integrations with biomedical are met back with everyone in the program. So in all, we have about 9 different pathways for students to take, but then they all come back to these IBHS courses that are exclusive to our program of iBiomed. And again, they're tailor focused for BME electives, so that way you're actually still allowed to take some courses while in engineering that are biomedical focused. And then again, when we talk about the parent type disciplines here, there's about 8 that students will select and go into. So we have students in all of these streams as well after leaving level 1. and they're again sitting along with their, either software or electrical or material students, and then at the same time going to classes with their other iBiomed students that are in their various streams as well. What we call allocation, so actually we'll do is based on supply and demand, kind of like what I mentioned, and based on how many seats we have. So our engineering seats are also shared with engineering students, and students will then, based on their GPA, be selected into. So you rank everything, and generally speaking, about 85% of engineering students get their top choice. So we do see lots of success with students going into what they are looking for. We have a very diverse background of students going into various areas of this. So we don't see so much competition. It's really interesting to see how students optimize what they like to pair biomedical with, again, another engineering discipline, and cater their education to what they want to learn. And so that's the academic side, right? And that's the program in a nutshell of what you're going to be going into for classes, and then again a program. But then when we're going to talk about the supports in place for you, we want to talk about, again, how you're going to get through all of your undergrad. So starting off, most important, your iBiomed academic advisor, aka me. So I'm there to help you with all of your enrollment, your planning, your academic concerns, and also just a first point of contact for any questions. We do have a co-op as part of our program, so there is a dedicated co-op advisor as well to help you find your placements, do your resume critiques, those types of things to, again, help you get into a placement that you want before graduation. There's the official iBiomed Society as well, so that's the collective of students. They run events, they're there as a support as well. Again, if you also want to get involved, there's applications for that as well. There's the Ambassador and Mentorship Program, as well as also the Engineering Society. So students even in the HESI program who are, again, pursuing a health science degree have access to everything that the MES, the Engineering Society, offers. We have the health sciences and engineering mentors as part of our design project courses. So that's, again, additional faculty that are there to support you in those courses, as well as our information nights and events. So iBiomed does try to do a great job, and we do a good job, I shouldn't say we try, in terms of providing as much information to our students as possible while trying to be fun. We try to, have in-person events now that they're kind of being allowed around, the seasons and the exam times as well, when stress is high. So we're there to, again, try to make a very social environment for our students. So what makes iBiomed unique? On top of everything that I've already kind of explained about it being unique, there's additional areas. So we have, these new facilities and design studios. So these are very brand new space that's dedicated to the program that only the iBiomed students have access to during their courses, as well as access to the Hatch building, which is a new experiential learning facility. So it's this new building where lots of our clubs and teams are housed within and have access to. So there's no classrooms in those buildings. The other unique aspect of this is the small class sizes. So you're still going to have, your typical large lecture halls for some courses, but since we are a small, unique niche program, you're still going to get a lot of hands-on, quality time with your TAs and your instructors, as well as your classmates as well, to support you and collaborate with. So speaking of, again, kind of going back a little bit to the support systems, co-op is a big aspect of this program as an evolving area that's of interest for undergrad students. So every student in our program has access to it. It's optional, so it's nothing that is mandatory or required of you. There's no specific cutoffs that you need to, or applications needed to get into co-op. It's based on what is your needs. So we have students who opt in, who opt out, who go on to pursue co-ops or decide just to stick to academics. It's catered to you. So, there's areas, again, that we are seeing of our students now that are in upper levels going into. So again, quite the theme of iBiomed is in health, in research, in biomedical industries, in engineering. Some business is actually happening as well as IT hardware and government positions. So this is, again, an evolving area for us because we are part of the engineering co-op and career services. So we have a history of resources and job placements there, but we are adding to this as a program to grow into the health industry. And then again, just here's a small list of some of the previous employers from this past summer. So again, lots of research and education in the healthcare industry, government, finance, tech, and more. So again, it's a short, small list just to give you a glimpse of what some of our students are entering. But if you're interested in also pursuing something on your own, you're more than happy to bring that to the co-op office and they will help guide you through that process. And so when we're talking about co-op, it also kind of leads into the talk about career opportunities. So the idea also with this is it's an integrated program. So you have multiple doors open to you, but the general core theme of these, again, are biomedical engineering, technology, and health sciences. So any student who's going into any of these programs have these types of opportunities available to them. So we have students who are interested in going into, the private sector, for example, or going into medicine, going into graduate research or studies, and again, also into their parent discipline type of engineering. So lots of opportunities, and that's a common theme of what I hear when talking to our current students, is that it keeps the options available for those students. They don't want to make any decisions that might close some doors for them. So kind of a benefit to that. Part of this as well is we have students who have opted to leave the program to pursue an opportunity already using our exit degree. So this is available after level 3 for students. So we've had students go off into medicine, into pharmacology. Someone's going to vet school soon. Biomedical engineering graduate program. So these are students who have yet to see the full 5 years, but they've found an opportunity and have actually already left our program to pursue higher education. So again, those are possibilities as well if if it comes to you. So this is still in high school. If you're looking to come to a program, what do you kind of need to have as a background? At the admission levels, just some general info, our target again is about 140. And again, you're coming to a common first year. So it's just one program you're applying to. You're not deciding if you want to go into HESI or biomedical engineering with engineering, so on and so forth. You have that first year to kind of figure that out. So average is we have a couple of years now of admission data. So it's, between a low to mid 90 anticipated. So if you're 90 plus, then you would certainly be considered. Co-op is available at the time to apply for. It doesn't change anything at the admission levels. It doesn't, having co-op as part of the application doesn't mean it's going to be harder for you to get in. So just if you want to be in as part of the co-op program, right off the hop or not. So the deadline for OAC is actually January 13th with a supplementary application that is mandatory. That is also due about 2 weeks later. So if you want to be considered, both of those applications need to be in by those deadlines. And at the OAC level admissions, what we're looking for in our students is to have English, math at the calculus level, and then also all 3 sciences. So biology, chemistry, and physics. Since again, we're covering all scopes of biology with health sciences, and then chemistry and physics with engineering. So if you're in a program that doesn't allow to have all 3, such as like IB, for example, it's recommended you contact our admissions office so that way you can still be considered and potentially do that 3rd course over the summer before entering the program in the fall. And then the second part of this application process, again, is a supplementary application. So it's more about a process to find out who you are as a student outside of a transcript. And that's important to us because there's, again, a lot of collaboration, a lot of leadership taking place in our program. And that's what we look for in our students. So again, it is mandatory. If you don't complete this, then you will not be considered. And it's a mix of video and written responses. So some of our students here will be able to give you some insights into what that process looks like since they've gone it through themselves. But it's something I also like to add on as a little asterisk. Like don't stress too much about it. Everyone gets nervous for this one. It's like a small interview, but you don't have anything on the other side to give you feedback for. So the first year experience. This again will kind of cover mainly again what's unique about iBiomed in your first year, this one P10 course. And what that looks like, again, giving you a quick overview is you have a project based about 2 per term. And the first one generally looks like a hip transplant. So students work in projects, they do CAD and modeling and design to design a hip implant for a patient, given their background and certain other diagnostics. And they work together and they present this at a poster session as well, being asked questions, having to divulge that information. But that's again within your first 2 months that you have to do this. And so we hit the ground running. Next is another program that's, or for example, another project design that comes with a bit more programming. For example, this student, they made a helmet to measure if a concussion took place or not. So again, not that coding is required. You learn everything fresh without any presumptions of having knowledge before coming to the program. So these students were able to do this without anything leading into the program when it comes to coding. And then finally, the big project at the end is we're actually working with a real life patient and helping them with a problem. So you're designing either a device, a product that will help them with a reoccurring issue that's unique to them. And that's part of the process with health sciences, right? Getting to interview a client, a clinician, understanding what their problems are and how to help them. And then you present this at a big showcase at the end of the year. That's a lot. I gave you a lot of information just there. If you want to find out more, you can follow us on social media and on LinkedIn at Mac iBiomed for our events, more information, especially closer to the admission date and next term, where we'll have more info about what it will look like when you are coming in next fall. We also have a podcast that's hosted by our students. So again, if you are looking for more information or student perspective, I highly suggest you check that out. So thank you for listening to me ramble on about this program. That's amazing. And I've been a part of for 5 years. So I'm actually going to pass it out on to one of our students now, Yamna, who's going to talk about some of her projects.
Hey, awesome. Hello. So my name is Yamna. I'm in my 5th year of the Health Engineering Science and Entrepreneurship stream, HESI for short. And yeah, I highly recommend the podcast. I am a bit biased. I am one of the hosts, so definitely do check it out. I will share my screen. All right, yeah, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about my various roles throughout undergrad, a large one being a research assistant. So a little bit about me. See it? Okay, perfect. So yeah, I've done actually 4 years of research experience. I started right off the bat. The summer of my first year, I got a research position, and there's actually like a scholarship that you can apply to from high school. It's called the USRA Undergraduate Student Research Award. I actually didn't get that, but I found a professor and we applied for the USRA after my first year. And then I continued working with the professor in the computing and software department, which may be a little confusing since I'm in HESI, but that's what Brandon was previously talking about, that since it's so integrated that it doesn't even matter that I'm in HESI because I've been doing research or I've been doing research in the computing and software department for a very long time. And recently I started in the engineering physics department. And I'll talk about both of those research experiences a bit later. I've also been a teaching assistant for more than 3 years now. I started in my 2nd year as well. And the Innovators in Scrubs courses, the course that Brennan was talking about, the one that 4th year HESI students take where you're placed in a hospital placement. I'm teaching that course right now. And it's really cool. We have a lot of departments. We have cardiology, neurology. A bunch of students get to see neurosurgery, neurosurgery is being done, ophthalmology, internal medicine, emergency medicine, all that kind of stuff. In my year, I did it 2 years ago. I was in the cardiology department, so I got to see some really cool procedures going into the hospital. So in terms of my computing and software research, I've been working with Dr. Christopher Anand, and the research focused on pedagogy, which is teaching. So how do we teach effectively, specifically to students? And I focused on teaching functional programming to middle schoolers. Got to publish a paper in one of the journals called Graphics Programming in Elm, which is one of functional programming languages that I work with, developed math, knowledge, and social cohesion. So we actually presented this research to the Hamilton District School Board, and were able to kind of convince them to help us like build the curriculum with them. And we also partnered with IBM, and I was working in my first year, I was working as a programmer for IBM for their new Power 9 processor to basically double the number of basic math functions that a computer can calculate per second. So that was my project. Later on, so just this summer, and by the way, those research opportunities, it counted as co-op for me. So in my first and second summer, I actually did those as a co-op. And so this summer, I worked in the engineering physics department, Dr. Leila Soleimani, and a bunch of her research has to do with lab on a chip, which is like micro diagnostic devices. And my current project for the thesis course as well, because in 5th year for HESI students, you get to take a thesis course. You can also add on a capstone as an elective, but I'm doing the thesis. And it's detecting exosomes, which are like biomarkers for cancer, and using sort of like microchips to detect that. And there's lots of benefits for that, which is like high sensitivity to fast response, and it's also low cost. So this is sort of a picture of an exosome, like the vesicle, and this is sort of how we do it. Is I wonder if I can point. Here we go. Cells release these exosomes that actually carry like proteins and stuff like that for your cell-to-cell communication that you can get from like humans. So you could get like real human samples from their blood or saliva. And once you have that, you sort of have like an electrode where you can deposit a strand of DNA that is complementary to a specific protein on the exosomes, or it could be like it could be anything that you want to detect, but in this case, it's the exosomes, and you can kind of figure out like through a signal. I'm using electrochemistry to detect the exosomes, and you can see over here, this is like a gold surface for electrodes that we use. This is kind of like my setup, and this is what I was doing when I was teaching kids programming, going to their classes, delivering sort of lectures, and helping program those like the applications that they would actually be using. And just in general, like I know Brandon was mentioning that we have to do like all 3 sciences to get in, and it like even with my research, it makes a lot of sense, because the technique that we're using, electrochemistry, it is focused on physics and chemistry, but like knowing all this like microbiology and how like your DNA is going to be in a certain temperature or interacting with other molecules, like how it's like truly combining all 3 sciences. And the reason like iBiomed has really helped me with my research, because learning all of these components and learning how to design a new assay, going through like failures, learning from it, optimizing it, is just something that we learn at iBiomed through a lot of our projects and like group work. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done for the past 4 years, and hopefully gonna graduate this year with one of the master's opportunities that iBiomed gives its students is the Masters of Applied Sciences with the School of Biomedical Engineering. So you actually do your research starting the summer of your 4th year. So this was the research that I was doing in my 4th year, like summer. And then I'll continue doing it after I graduate for a year. And so it'll be like a 1-year master's program. So that's kind of my hope as well. But yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. If you think of questions later, you can email me or find me on LinkedIn. Here are the links. Yeah, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, no, I think we might wait until the end
Oh,
Uh,
yes,
for
absolutely.
all the questions.
Yeah,
just
so if
to
anyone has
interject.
any questions, you can throw them in the chat and I'll answer them later. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. That was amazing. I forgot that you're even doing the teaching the kids coding from a couple of like summers back now. Like yeah,
Okay.
fantastic. All right, so now we're going to pass it over to Leanna, who's in the engineering side of the house, and she's going to talk about some of the projects she's been working on.
Thank you. All right. Let me know if you can share my screen. I think I can see Brennan only on my screen. Okay, perfect.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So hi everyone, my name is Leanna Genovese. I'm in my final year of biomedical and mechanical engineering in the iBiomed program. And today I am going to share with you my journey of how I transformed my first year school project in my 1P10 course in iBiomed into an international award-winning product and company. So in my first year in iBiomed, we were introduced to a woman named Alyssa. And Alyssa lives with cerebral palsy, and she presented in front of our class, and she told us things that she could do and things that she couldn't do. As a result of her medical condition, she has uncontrollable curling of her fingers. So she mentioned that doing the buttons on her shirt was very difficult, typing on a computer, using cooking utensils. But one thing that really stood out to myself and my team was that she was a talented painter, but then as her condition progressed, she wasn't even able to hold on to a paintbrush correctly. So the school project was to design Alyssa something to enhance her life in any way. So a lot of a problem solution type of situation. So my team and I, we went straight to some sketches, and iBiomed in the course, they take you right through the entire design process of creating a solution. So they made us draw, and as you can tell, no one on my team were artists. These are pretty bad sketches, but we initially just had to get some thoughts on paper and try to understand, what is this unique idea we're trying to innovate towards. So I initially was inspired by the 3D printers in the iBiomed studio, and I pictured the nozzle of the 3D printer as a hand that can move horizontally, vertically, and up and down, kind of like the claw in Toy Story. So I kind of had this in my head, and it was drawn in the middle. You can't really tell what it is. So we went straight to prototyping. So in the iBiomed studio, they have this amazing cabinet full of all of these crazy cool supplies. So we were able to prototype with them. So the first one was made out of pipe cleaner, straws, and a sponge. Second prototype was made out of chopsticks and a clothes hanger and a ball of Play-Doh. And the second one is we evolved into Home Depot supplies, but still using a styrofoam ball as a handpiece and a paint roller as the wrist rest. So lots of prototyping. And we ended up finishing the school project and creating products we called Guided Hands. And we entered it into the Innovative Design for Accessibility student competition. One of our professors in the iBiomed program actually recommended for us to enter. And we ended up coming first place in Canada. And, we got a really great mark from this project, but it was wonderful to see that this evolved into something bigger than just a project in a classroom setting. So this inspired me to continue. So I worked in engineering co-op at McMaster at a machine shop. So half of the day I was working on testing the lifespan of dental implants. And the other half of the day my supervisor allowed me to transform my prototype into a finalized device using their machinery, their 3D printers. So So those pictures are of me going back and redesigning Guided Hands. And this is what Guided Hands looks like today. So Guided Hands is an assistive device that enables anyone experiencing limited hand mobility to write, paint, draw, and access technology through touchscreen devices. So it uses a system of linear ball bearings and shafts that promote controlled and guided hand movements in all directions as a user holds onto those blue hand pieces instead of finally holding that utensil, which is very difficult for many people. And Guided Hands improves quality of life for these people, helping them improve their confidence, creativity, and independence. So as soon as I built this, I wanted to see if it worked, and I had Alyssa try it out, but I also wanted to see if other people could benefit from this product. Or this school project, I guess, at the time. So I made a list. So I'm born and raised in Hamilton, and I made a list of every single rehabilitation center, hospital, clinic, rehab, nursing home, and retirement home. And at the time, I didn't own a car. So I bussed across Hamilton with Guided Hands in a garbage bag, and I introduced Guided Hands to over 150 patients and physicians. So I did the grand reveal, and I saw the happiness and creativity as people wrote, colored, painted, played games on an iPad. But the reason why I started this company is because of Bella. So I was introduced to Bella at McMaster Children's Hospital, and she also lives with cerebral palsy. So I introduced Guided Hands to her, and as soon as she began painting with Guided Hands, the widest smile spread across her face. She turned to her mom and said, "Mom, I want one." And then the mom turned to me and asked, "How much is it?" And at that point, the thought of selling this device had never crossed my mind. This was just a school project that I wanted to kind of see through to gain, some hands-on engineering skills. But I knew in that moment that I found what I was truly passionate about. And I knew that this was exactly what I wanted to do. So a week later, I created my company, Imagical Solutions. And I created a company not having any business background. So I approached the Forge, which is McMaster's Business Incubator. So it's a wonderful program that is available and is free for any McMaster students, including iBiomed students. So in between taking a full course load of engineering courses, I attended their startup night school, which is just a crash course on business, learning about different terms and strategies so that I could be successful with my own startup. And through them, I was able to round up a really great team of advisors and collaborators, and through mentorship through the program. As well, the 29 volunteer engineering students, they are almost half of them are actually iBiomed students. I found that iBiomed students are the best type of student to bring onto the team because they have such a diverse background. And I think one of my research assistants, you can see him in the corner, Ibrahim, he's actually on the call and speaking on the panel. So he's on my team. And with our team, we've been able to transform Guided Hands into an international award-winning device. Just last month, we were announced the Canadian national winner of the James Dyson Award, person who invented the vacuum cleaner. And kind of where we're at right now, my team and I, we are testing Guided Hands across North America very safely with COVID protocols, of course. And through Guided Hands, we're able to really change the lives of many people and enable them to live the life they imagine. So this was definitely a long journey, and it's been an amazing one, but I have learned some valuable lessons I do want to share with you. Number one is that not everything is for a grade. So I know that a lot of students, and I'm being silly because in grade 12, if I got like an 80, I would cry, but not everything's for a grade. And the iBiomed program, it really introduces you to the world of biomedical engineering, and it introduces you to real world problems that if you solve them can create a really big impact. And that's what I did with my school project. Although we got a good grade on it, I wanted to make an impact with it. The second lesson is to never stop learning. Of course, I started a business without having any business background, so I had to learn that. But the iBiomed program surrounds you with many different mentors and professors to help you along this journey. And one of them is on the call right now that helped me, Dr. Wall. So I'm going to have to give him a shout out. And the third lesson I learned is to transform your passion into your profession. And I found that through the iBiomed program with the first general year, it was really wonderful to understand what you like and what you don't like, really kind of just get exposure to everything. And then in your second year, make that decision of what you want to do. And I definitely suggest to find what you're passionate about in your first year and specialize into something that you're really inspired and passionate about, and create that into your profession. So that's the end of my presentation. I'd be more than happy to chat offline. So if you can quickly copy down my email, I'll probably put it in the chat. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I think Yumna and I will answer them at some point during this presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanna. So thank you to Yumna and Leanna for those awesome presentations. You get really great insights into the program. So thanks so much for sharing that with us. We are going to get into the Q&A portion now. We do have some questions that have come in through the Q&A. We will do our best to get to all of them. And if you do have questions for Yumna or Leanna, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to get those answered for you. So I'm just going to go through here. So we did just have a quick question about the difference between the course codes. This is a quick and easy one, so I'll just kind of cover this real quick, and then we'll get into some of the other questions. So MEH is the non-co-op option. MEI is the co-op option when you are applying online. If you get accepted into the program and you change your mind later, so if you want to go with the co-op option or not, you can totally change it later. So that's what those codes mean. Okay, so let's go through here. All right, so I want to throw some questions over to our panelists. So we have a question about school life balance. So maybe we can give our student panelists an opportunity to talk about how is that balance for you? And you can all turn your mics on if you like. We'll keep it pretty casual, so feel free to jump in.
I can start us off. I'm sure other people will have input as well. In terms of school life balance, I think it's definitely an adjustment to come to university and kind of just get used to the different way of learning and things like that. But there's definitely time, and you can make time to do things that you enjoy, join clubs that you like, join a student society and things like that. There's definitely time for that. It's just kind of making sure that you manage your time properly, but there's definitely opportunities. And I would say if it's important to you, you can make the time for it. And I would definitely recommend that you do. I'm sure other people have input as well.
Thanks, Sarah. And we do have a question as well about extracurriculars. So maybe we can kind of tie those two together. So we'll lump that one in as well in terms of any extracurriculars you want to talk about and balancing that with your course load.
Yeah, for sure. I can go as well. So the one thing I found was like, in terms of managing your time, like also scheduling. So at first I was like, when I was in high school, I could just remember all the due dates for whenever things were due. But you quickly find out in university that like profs won't give you like daily reminders that you have like a test even the next day or something. And then you have like so many tests and other things going on. So like Google Calendar, or you can use any sort of calendar, just like put in like reminders for like when you have tests and assignments. And then like I find that if you schedule your time, you can even like schedule your activities. So in my first year, I joined a club to teach kids programming, and then later on teach kids science. Like I really like teaching, so I found those clubs, and then later on also an iBiomed ambassador in my second year. So yeah, you can definitely find the time for those things.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add on. I think like time management is probably one of the best ways to deal with both extracurriculars and like with homework and whatnot. I'm still in my third year and I'm still kind of perfecting it. So it's not like it's not that easy. But definitely something that you can work on. Like Yuma mentioned, Google Calendar. I use Notion a lot. So shout out to Notion. And in terms of like a lot of the extracurriculars, I feel like I've heard the statistic where like McMaster has one of the largest amounts of clubs and stuff and teams. Don't quote me on that, but I do know there is almost something for absolutely everybody. So there is a lot of opportunity to do both well in school as well as have fun outside of it.
Any other thoughts on that? We'll move on to our next question. So we have a couple of questions here that I'm going to sort of try to group into one question, and it's about the allocation. So maybe this is a Brennan question between the biomedical engineering stream and the HESI stream, and what does that look like? First choice, all of that kind of stuff. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure.
And how the percentage of students that get into their chosen program. So things along those things.
What's nice is we've been able to really curate our students the past couple of years in terms of getting into BME or HESI. HESI is only exclusive to iBiomed students. We don't have students from other programs or faculty applying to that program right as an entry level point. So that's what's unique about HESI anyways. With the engineering streams and BME, we do share the engineering seats with the engineering 1 cohort. So that's why we have to have students pretty much rank what they'd like. And then again, based on how popular the program they want, and then their GPA as a combination, they're either allowed in that program or their second choice, and so on and so forth. So if you're going for a very competitive program, you might want to be strategic about getting, or studying really hard about getting a very high GPA. You should do that anyways. I know Leanna said grades aren't everything. It's true, but we want to still be mindful of wanting to get you into the program that you want, or the specialization that you want, I should say. And so this is a process again that takes place after your final or your first year in April, and then you find out in June what that looks like. Percentage wise, I don't want to say 100% for the past couple of years, because we've been able to be really flexible with our students. But moving forward, engineering, those seats, it could still be getting a bit more competitive. So that's something about entering the program that you want to be mindful of. But again, we do have quite the spread of students. We don't have one program that dominates all of them for our students. So you're kind of finding a home with a lot of iBiomed students spreading out into all 8 engineering streams, and then also HESI as well.
Great, thanks, Brennan. Okay, so we have a question here. I will throw this out to our panelists and maybe Dr. Wall as well. Can you speak to the courses that someone would take in the iBiomed engineering stream? How do the courses intertwine between the engineering disciplines, example, electrical or mechanical, and the IBHS courses? Do you take courses with the students in the specific discipline and then take IBHS courses with your iBiomed class? A very thorough question, but a very excellent question.
Yeah, and so maybe I can start off by answering it in part because there was also a question about why is it a 5-year program? And so yeah, if you choose the biomedical engineering side, you're put into one of the base disciplines, as Brennan talked about it in his talk. So maybe chemical engineering, maybe material science, maybe software engineering. But we want you to get the full courses and all of the things that would basically enable you to graduate with that base engineering degree. So that's a 4-year program. But when we integrate in the health sciences side of things, that basically makes it into a 5-year program. We actually do that with management as well. So we have a long history of engineering and management and engineering and society at McMaster. We've done the same thing with engineering and health sciences to make our biomedical engineering degree. You would graduate then with, so speaking strictly from the engineering side, you would graduate with a dual degree. So electrical and biomedical engineering, not double. You don't get 2 degrees, you get a dual degree, which allows you effectively to be licensed in either one of those disciplines. So you've covered off the requirements for both of those, at least as far as the Canadian Engineering Accreditation Board and the licensing board for professional licensure as an engineer in Canada. Okay. So that required is 5 years. I've also answered some questions about co-op. So if you decide to do a full year of co-op, that's 5 years of school plus an additional year of co-op, which would be 6 years, but you can slide your co-op in. So Yumna talked about that as doing 4-month co-ops over the summers. So it's not an extra year. I'll stop there and allow the panelists to get to that. So.
Great, thank you. So if we have any BME or biomedical engineering students, we've got a couple on our panel. So if any of you would like to talk about that integration, please go for it.
I guess I can talk a bit about this one. So I'm in my 3rd year of mechanical and biomedical, and throughout all your 5 years, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to take some strictly engineering related. So that could be your mechanical or your electrical. And like they said previously, specifically only your biomedical courses. And this is really good for the future so that in terms of actual career paths, you can go into something that's completely mechanical or electrical or software. You can go into something that's completely biomedical. You can do something that's completely intertwined. It really leaves your options open. So like they said before, when you're taking your biomedical courses, you're going to be in your smaller cohort of around 150. And then when you're taking your other BME courses, you'll be in those other larger lecture sizes, which are a lot of fun, allows you to meet tons of people and make new friends.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we've touched upon the biomedical engineering side. I'm going to throw the next couple of questions to Dr. McDonald as they relate more to the med school questions. So we have a couple of questions. Is this program recommended for getting into medical school? Talks a little bit about requirements for med school, GPAs to get into med school. So and what you can do if you are graduating from the HESI program. So Dr. McDonald, can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So that's just like the perennial question that we always get is, is this an appropriate program to take to prepare for medical school? Honestly, every medical program has different requirements and prerequisites to be accepted, and sometimes those change. And so you really have to do your homework as a student in university to look at each medical program that you're interested in applying to and making sure that you meet their prerequisites. With that being said, this program is an excellent program to prepare you for medical school in terms of background content knowledge. In second year, you take, in most of our programs and all of our iBiomed programs at some point, most students take it in second year, 2 anatomy courses, so a full year of anatomy. So excellent preparation for medical school. Our students take an organic chemistry course so that you know how to speak the language of biochemistry when you get to medical school. So those are the typical types of prerequisites that you see for medical school. Organic chemistry is a common one. I think physics is another common one. So our students usually check most of their boxes. So it's excellent background preparation. What was the other, what were the follow-up ones, Melissa? Sorry, hit me with one at a time.
I think career paths.
Career paths for HESI. So great question, another really great question. And we don't have any data yet because we have not graduated any students from our HESI, our full HESI program, which is a 5-year program. But we've had a few students leave after 3rd year and go to medical school, also leave after 4th year and go to medical school. We have also had several students leave after 4th year and go to graduate programs at very prestigious and well-known universities. I can't remember, is she at Oxford in the UK? I can't remember where she went. I mean,
Yeah, one of the
lot.
students
Yeah.
is in London. One of the students is doing like a master's in family medicine, and the other student is doing a master's in biomedical engineering at U of T. And
and
I think
McGill was
at
one of
least-
those, right?
Yeah, at least 3 or 4 students got into med school in 3rd and then 4th year.
Thank you, Yamna, for helping me out on that one. That's
No
that's
problem.
all of Yamna's colleagues who are.
Yeah,
who are
they're
going off.
all my peers, so it's pretty good. I saw a question that was asking like what's the difference between regular health sciences and HESI, and if you wouldn't mind, like I can take that question. So essentially, you might be wondering why we're a 5-year program compared to like a 4th year health sciences program, and what are the differences? So the main difference is that we get to take biomedical engineering courses. So like the 1st year, we're taking like the engineering courses with everyone because it's like a common 1st year. So all like the physics, the math, the chemistry, and that kind of stuff. And then in 4th year and 3rd year, we get to take biomedical instrumentation, signals and systems, biomedical imaging. So like learning about MRIs, CT scans. Instrumentation includes like EEGs, ECGs, and that kind of stuff, like how they work. And we also learned about the entrepreneurship component, where how do you bring stuff to market? So if we were to create a product, like where would you go next? How do you come up with sort of an innovation, patenting, and that kind of stuff? So in a way, sort of like what Leanna is doing with her company, like you might be able to make like a startup, and that's kind of what the HESI program helps you with, like developing a product and sort of making a company from it. So that's kind of where HESI is different, is that we do a lot more things than just health sciences.
Great, thanks, Yumna. Okay, so I am being mindful of time here. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to all of your questions. So just to, we'll have one more question that I'll throw out to our panel, but just a friendly reminder, if you would like to connect with one of our ambassadors, please feel free to email us at ibiomed@mcmaster.ca. And we would be happy to set you up with an ambassador where you can ask any other questions that you would like to know about iBiomed. We are also on social media, so you can find us at Mac iBiomed. We post information and updates about events, student success stories. So there are ways that you can connect with us after this event. So let's end with one final question, and thank you everyone for being here. It's great to have such a great turnout. So thanks everyone for your interest in the iBiomed program and for being with us. So we'll just end with one more question. We do have a question, tips for the SUP app, but I'm going to add on to that and say tips for the SUP app, or just tips in general about applying to iBiomed. Any sort of words of wisdom our panelists would like to share with those considering the program.
I can start us off only because I'm still in 1st year, so the experience is very fresh. So I applied obviously last year, and I would say the biggest thing is to practice, because I'm not sure if they have access to the portal yet. Do they? Okay. You have you have an unlimited amount of practice sessions before you actually get to go and submit your final application. And the entire process doesn't take more than 20 minutes, 20 minutes max, because it's 3 videos, I think, and then the 1 written submission. So definitely do a lot of practice and be yourself, because they're really they're very like easy interview questions. Like if you've ever practiced for an interview before, they're kind of like that. So it's not like anything to stress too much about. Just be prepared, practice, you know, dress nicely, and like that's it. You should be great.
And just to add on to that, oops, I think just to add on to that, the supplementary application is really a chance for the people receiving it to get to know you. So I think that people in the iBiomed program are really well-rounded. So we don't want, like, I don't think, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you don't just want someone with a crazy high average, you know, they want someone that's well-rounded. They want someone that's involved with their community, has leadership skills and things like that. So just make sure to highlight those skills in the supplementary application.
I just wanted to quickly butt in something that I think really helped me, especially for the video interview, is I would because they give you a little bit amount of time to prep yourself for the question once they give you the question. So I remember like writing down really quickly, just jot notes about like what I might want to talk about. And then so I have like kind of like an outline, quote unquote, about like what I want to talk about and how I can explain and kind of differentiate from myself according to that question. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, everyone. So we are going to end the event here. I just want to say thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you to our panelists, to our presenters, Brennan, Dr. Wald, Dr. McDonald, thank you for being here. Leanna and Yumna, again, you can connect with us at ibiomed@mcmaster.ca. And so I think the event is going to just get cut off abruptly, but thank you everyone for being here and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.